And right now, Tiki is advertised. We are joined by Hall of Famer, the great Tim Brown. And Tim is with us once again here on Tiki and Tierney. Tim, how you been, buddy? What's happening?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Tim, you're the perfect guy to speak to here. You were drafted as a young pup out of Notre Dame by the L.A. Raiders. Formative years in L.A. Next, I believe it was 9 in Oakland, so you know this as well as anybody. What's your initial reaction to this? You can't be overly surprised, but how do you process it moving forward?
The phrase I've been using is I'm happy sad. You know what I mean? I'm happy that this organization, since I've been around almost 30 years, has finally found a city that would build them a new stadium. They tried in L.A., couldn't get it done. Tried in Oakland for over 20 years, that I know of, and couldn't get it done. So finally someone has agreed to do that. So for that, I'm very happy. But obviously it's sad, because, again, the Raiders are moving, and they're moving out of the city that everybody thinks they belong in. But unfortunately, that city wasn't able to come up with the funds to build that stadium. And you have to, this day and time, you must have a new stadium to compete for free agency and all that kind of stuff. And obviously the Raiders has never had that as far as I'm concerned. And for them to have that opportunity, I think, is great.
Yeah, it seemed like it was changing, though, for the better with free agency. I remember Reggie McKenzie saying last offseason, it's nice not to have to beg some of these free agents and vets to come there because they saw that they were on the come. Obviously, you get the quarterback, you get Cooper and the wide receiver, Khalil Mack, and it just felt like more of a destination. At the end of the day, though, the fans are the ones that are losing most here. What's the reaction going to be amongst Raider fans that are being left behind?
Well, I think, Tiki, that you're going to have some folks, man. They're gonna voice their displeasure in a deal simply because they won't be able to drive down the street and see the team anymore. They're going to have to jump on an airplane or drive or do whatever in order to make that happen. And so I know that's very frustrating to people who have supported the Raiders for all these years. But they have to understand that it is not the Raiders' fault in this deal. And not that you want to fault the city. I'm sure there's blame for everybody here. But, the proposals that were given just weren't good enough to put the Raiders in a positive situation if they did build a stadium back in Oakland. So I think from that standpoint, man, look, the one thing I know about the Raider fans is they are full of resolve. They have nothing has never come easy for Raider Nation and for the Raider organization. So I think from that standpoint, yes, I think initially there's going to be a lot of emotions. I can see some boycotts the first game or two this year, unless this team is really, really good. But I think eventually they're going to do what they do. They're going to find a way to support this football team.
Talking to Hall of Famer Timmy Brown, of course, Tim, Notre Dame star and long distinguished career in the NFL. Obviously, make the Hall of Fame. He did something right, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney. I said to Tiki early in the show here, Tim, and having been to the Coliseum enough to at least have a little more than a rudimentary feel for how they act and what they think, I think you're going to have to bring the National Guard in that final game. I'm serious, man. I'm not. I think that the Raider fans are going to look to tear that stadium down.
No, I don't believe so, man. I really don't. I've had the opportunity, man, to deal with these guys pretty closely for the last, like I said, almost 30 years. And the one thing I know is that they will listen to the right person. I think that if the right people in front of them, encouraging them not to do certain things, I think they would certainly listen. Now, what I think is incumbent upon the Raider organization and players the next couple of years is for them to get into the community and let these folks know how much they have appreciated them and will appreciate them the next couple of years. Now, that's something that is not an easy thing for the Raiders because that's not something that the Raiders do.
Yeah.
As far as really getting deep into the community and doing things of that nature. So, but I think they have to do that. But I have a lot more confidence in Raider Nation than maybe you do, simply because I've dealt with them.
But Tim, let me hop in. Here's the thing, though, Tim. Nobody's going to act like a nut job in front of Tim Brown. I mean, let's be real about this. I agree with your premise. If it's you or Rich Gannon or I don't know if Marcus Allen would do this at this point, but any Raider, whomever you want, Howie Long, anybody, Jim Plunkett. I mean, if they say the right thing to the Raider fans. I believe for that moment, I think that the Raider fans' emotion, that ire would be disarmed. The moment you walk away, reality hits. You're gone, and then they're back
Look,
to, you know.
But the fact of the matter is, this was not done to the Oakland fans. This was, I mean,
No, sure it was.
they've been there. They've been there 21 years. 21 years trying to get a stadium done, and they couldn't get it done. I mean, Roger Goodell the other day denied the last deal that Oakland. So obviously, this is not just the Raiders. This is NFL saying, what you're offering is not good enough. So what did we want the Raiders to do? Did we want them at all costs to stay here in Oakland, play in a horrible facility, and just because, we got fans? Is that what we want? Or do
No.
we want this organization to be able to thrive and compete like 30, 31 other teams in the NFL at this particular
Tim, I
point?
agree with you. I agree. But I just think that I think you're and I love you with all due respect. I think you're attaching too much of a rational element to this. Everything you're saying, I agree with. It's not a viable economic backdrop. They have to move. The stadium's terrible. Everything check, check, check. Tim Brown's right. But now you get back to that emotional instability. When a fan gets scorned, it becomes unpredictable, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And look, and I just asked you to give me this, that I have dealt with these guys on personal matters.
Mm-hmm.
I have dealt with Raider fans on stuff that people would never believe that I dealt with Raider fans on. And certainly, yes, that's not every Raider fan, so I get that. But I have said things over the radio that quieted a stadium on the next Sunday. So I just believe that if all those guys you mentioned, and yes, Marcus Allen would probably be the first guy to jump in line at this particular point. If the Raiders do this thing right, and they don't, snub their nose at the city, which I can't see them doing, I believe that this would be a peaceful transition. That's what I believe. Look, you're going to have your nuts. You're going to have your nuts. I mean, that's in every situation. But I believe that the majority of these fans are going to get what's happening. I'm not saying they're going to like it, but I'm saying they're going to get it to the point where they understand that they have to let this team go if they want them to grow.
Listen, it's Tim Brown, so I'm certainly going to defer, and I hope you're right. I hope you're right talking to Tim Brown, Raider.
Good, Brett. It's all good.
I got you, man. Raiders Hall of Famer Timmy Brown with us
Tim,
here.
you talk about, obviously, you being around the Raiders and having conversations with them. Has Marcus Allen ever, I don't want to use the word fix, but I will because it's the only one I can think of, quote, fixed his relationship with them? And have the Raiders, Mark Davis in particular, reached out to any of you guys to help with this?
No, yeah. Well, to answer your first question, yes, Marcus has been back several times. He's done the lighting of the flame and all that kind of stuff. So his relationship with Mark, I mean, they're around the same age. So Mark was around all the time when he first got to the organization. So there's not a problem there as far as Marcus Allen and the Raiders. That's for sure.
Good.
And your second question, no, they have not reached out as of yet. And again, this is not something that the Raiders organization is necessarily good at, reaching out to the community and things of that nature. I mean, that when I was there, my 16 years, if the players didn't do it themselves, the Raiders didn't do it. Yeah, they did a deal with the Boys and Girls Club, but as far as being there every day and doing things in the community, I think it's going to be a little tougher for them. But they got to get it done now because I believe what Brandon's saying, that they will turn this place up if they snub their nose at them, like, hey, we're going to be gone in 2 years, so forget you guys. So I think they have to really go over and above to appreciate these fans.
Let me ask you about a relocation issue from a player's standpoint. Now, this is the third team in the NFL over the last year and a half that's moving. Obviously, the Chargers are one, and the Rams are the other one that both go to California. Now, you were with the Raiders when they left Los Angeles and went up to Oakland. What's it like for you as a player to have to, really upend yourself?
Yeah, and that situation sort of happened overnight, man. We were not aware, going into May that was going to be that we were going to be leaving, that we were going to be playing in Oakland that year. We didn't find out till the end of May or something of that nature. So we all had to, in a hurry, get on a plane, get up to Oakland, trying to find a place to live and all that kind of stuff, 6 weeks before training camp started or whatever it was. So that was a really tough situation. we were all like, "What? Hey, what's going on? You know, what's happening here?" Trying to get furniture moved and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, they had people helping with that, but it was a very difficult situation because it happened so quickly. And I don't know which is better. I don't know if that overnight type thing is better, or if it's better to sit for 2 years and let the people that you're leaving look at you and have a chance to say things to you. So the great thing about leaving L.A. was, you know, people in L.A., they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, they got so much going on. But leaving Oakland is certainly going to be a lot tougher, no doubt about it.
Hey, I know my answer. If you're getting divorced, do you want to wake up miserable for 2 years, or do you want to just pull it and just move on fresh? Let's be honest. I mean, it's really
Right.
it's going to be tough to navigate this, and hopefully things
Yes.
work out
Yes.
because the team could be really good. So, Tim, we appreciate the perspective. Always good to us, man. Of course, you know that we got you into the Hall of Fame, our
Yes.
campaign.
You're
We-
welcome.
you know what
Absolutely. I
Just-
appreciate you guys, man. That's why, hey, anytime you call, I'm here.
Thank you, Tim. We'll see you, pal.
Thanks, guys.